Previously on Good Times with Bad Movies.
This week, we're actually talking about 1995's Batman Forever from Warner Brothers.
Whoa, my God, it's boiling acid.
We should just mention this quickly here. The nipples on the suit in this one. And like we said before, she is hot for Batman. And Jim Carrey is wearing the Blender helmet now.
And lo and behold, it's Two-Face in a dress. And he reveals that it's a rocket launcher. And now we bring you part 2 and the conclusion of Batman Forever. So he's driving, and there's 2 vehicles behind him, and he's kind of screeching around corners and stuff. And then there's this old lady with like a little kind of a blanket type veil over her face, and she's pushing a carriage with presumably a baby in it. And Batman slams on the brakes, and lo and behold, it's Two-Face in a dress, dressed as an old lady, and he reveals that it's a rocket launcher in the baby carriage and shoots it at Batman, but Batman presses a button and his car turns a certain way so that the rocket hits one of the henchmen instead. Was that his whole plan, by the way, to just dress in a drag? He's like, okay, we're going to find a way for the bat signal to go off, and I'm sure that Batman's going to take this street, and I'm going to be at the end of the street dressed like an old lady, so make sure you guys chase him down this way.
That's a good question. I think maybe they just hang out around town because, the bat signal probably is going off all the time anyway, so he's probably just like, let's just hang out in the corner here. Let's go get some pizza, and we'll hang out in 20 minutes. You guys go out for a smoke, and let me know if you see the bat signal, and then if you do, we'll get into position. And that's probably what happened, right?
They put the chase to Batman, and Batman shoots a grappling hook out of the front of his car that I guess it hits a building, and the Batmobile, it turns vertical and drives up the side of the building because it's being pulled by the grappling hook, I guess. It's insane.
Yeah, you know what? It clearly looks like a model car. It looks like something out of Team America.
It's clearly a blue screen behind it.
Well, it just looks like a small little car that they shot that looks like a plastic car from the side, kind of lifting up on 2 wheels. And then you're right. Then we get, as it's going up, I guess it's supposed to be driving up this wall. It's just this really bad CGI behind it.
So Two-Face is just crying. He is actually crying in the street that he can't kill Batman. And the scene ends. Where did Batman go? Like, where does he go? Like, once he drives up the side of a building.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're kind of euchred. What do you get in the top and you're just like, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know. Like, you have to drive off this thing. It's not like you can just take the stairs. So maybe it's like in Dark Knight or whatever it was, Dark Knight Rises, where he's just driving over the roofs of houses and stuff. Maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe he got to get the Batcopter to show up, and tow him off the roof. They're just like, they all gave up after that. They're like, he's gone on the roof. We can't find him anymore. Meanwhile, he's up there. He's like, got to call Alfred like, hey, can you send the helicopter again? I got stuck up here. Meanwhile, Edward Nygma is sitting in his house or sitting in his apartment, and he looks like he's on some sort of thing. Looks like he's on a video game, and he's like designing his avatar, and he's kind of putting together little suits, and he's trying to come up with different names. And he's got this weird thing in his house. I guess looks like a fortune teller kind of machine with this weird creepy doll in it that sort of goes between a red button and a green button. The green button's got a question mark, and the red button's got a no. And he goes through a bunch of suits until he gets to a big question mark suit. And then for some reason, this little fortune teller doll thing just kind of goes off and starts binging green, like it wants it. So I don't understand this. Is this thing supposed to be part of him being crazy and he like, it's just not happening and he thinks it's happening? Or is this thing supposed to be sentient? I don't understand what this little fortune teller guy is.
I don't know. I felt that it was just like the equivalent of an 8-ball. But it is weird that there's a question mark and no. Like, yes, you think that yes would be the other light bulb that lights up, but no, I don't understand what this thing is, and it's wearing what we recognize as the Riddler's costume.
Yeah. If you're looking for a costume, why didn't you just be like, hey, that thing that looks like it's basically my size, I could just take the jacket off it.
As the scene started outside of his place, there was this giant neon billboard of a crossword puzzle. So it seems like there's like a crossword puzzle place right there, and maybe he stole the mascot for it. So that's the only thing I can think of. And that's what this thing in the box pointing at a question mark and no is. I don't know. That's my only guess.
Yeah, he wasn't into Sudoku or anything like that. That'd been a kind of a cool name, Sudoku. And you just leave like little weird number puzzles.
Sounds scarier than the Riddler.
Yeah, the Riddler is he's kind of a goofy guy. I've never been a big fan of this character myself. I think Two-Face is a way better villain. But Jim Carrey taking a crack at this is also pretty good. Now Jim Carrey decides that he's going to get his little suit on and he's going to go down and see Two-Face. But there's a couple things here that confuse me. I don't know where Two-Face lives in Gotham, because this looks like this is maybe underground somewhere. But it's also got power and heat and everything else here. And somehow Jim Carrey has just found out where this guy lives. And if he could figure out where he lives, why doesn't Batman just go down there and punch him in the face when he's sleeping? And there's like a weird statue in there. So I don't know how he got all this stuff in here. Like, did he have an interior decorator show up and he's like, I want half it to look black and the other half white?
I'd say that's exactly what he did. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, but who did this? There's a statue in the back and it's like a face. And I don't know who made the face.
It looks like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, there's two of them on either side of the place. So I don't know who came in and carved this thing.
Going back to what you said about Jim Carrey just trotting in. So yeah, he just walks in out of nowhere and proceeds to convince Two-Face of teaming together to, finally kill Batman. And he shows Two-Face his contraptions that he's built, like these futuristic brain blenders that he's been producing, right? And so they're already there. So when we see Jim Carrey walk in, he has this like new cane. He has like this question mark golden cane, and he's kind of like dancing around it, kind of like whenever he's trotting around with it, he reminds me of the Singing in the Rain dance. Like when the guy's dancing with the umbrella.
Yeah, kind of. Little Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. But anyways, his contraptions are already in there. So Jim Carrey, as the Riddler, already snuck into Two-Face's lair and put his things there, his blenders, and then he left. And then he came back again to tell him about his plan.
That's a good point. Yeah, at no point anyone questioned what these blenders were. They were like, I don't know, maybe as a Christmas gift, they got margarita mixers or something. I don't know. That's a good point. Why didn't they go, who the hell left this here? And what is this?
I don't know.
You're right, though. I mean, we're going to see in this movie, too. Jim Carrey, he's got a couple different little outfits he wears. This is almost like, as we go through the movie, they get progressively more and more flashier. It's almost like they hired Elton John's tailor to do the costumes for this movie. Some of them they just get more wackier as we go.
I also want to point out that his hairstyles and color changes like constantly. Jim Carrey's right now, because a few scenes ago we saw him with his kind of like lighter brownish kind of hair. Now his hair appears to be red, and not like ginger red, like neon red. And he's wearing lipstick.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got the very short kind of Ellen DeGeneres kind of haircut going on here. The whole point is the Riddlers come here to ask Two-Face to basically team up to kill Batman. But in the meantime, what they need to do first is go and rob a bank. And that's kind of what they do. It looks like, I think they hold up a diamond store, basically, and potentially a bank, take a bunch of cash, and now the Riddler has enough capital to sort of start up his business for his blenders, his margarita mixers.
Yeah, his blender business.
Yeah, that was the whole plot. He's just like, we're going to get blenders and sell them to everybody.
Back at Wayne Manor, Dick Grayson is in the laundry room where Alfred is ironing. And Alfred offers to do the rest of Dick Grayson's laundry because that's what Alfred is there for. And Dick Grayson's like, no, I can do my own laundry. And he proceeds to do what I can only call karate laundry or like kung fu laundry or something. He starts like just whipping his shirts and stuff around with like the mop and using his hands like in a Tai Chi kind of manner to wring the stuff out really fast and like swinging his wet socks around like nunchucks. And Alfred is standing there with his jaw dropped like, whoa, what did I just see? Kind of like the same way the old man is staring at Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse when he's doing Tai Chi. And you can just tell that Alfred is thinking to himself, damn, that boy can fight.
I thought he was thinking at one point, Dick kind of takes his sweatpants and sort of wrings them out, and there's water flies everywhere on the floor. And in my head, I thought Alfred was looking at him like, I'm going to have to clean that up later. There's water. You can see there's water all over the washing machine. And also, I might add, the dryer, which is literally right beside the washing machine. Okay. This kid decided to take his wet clothes out of the washing machine, wring them all over the floor, takes the mop, kind of mops the floor for 2 seconds. Meanwhile, there's water still everywhere else. And then he just gives Alfred a little wink and then walks away. Like I would have been like, get back here, you prick. Clean all this up.
I liked it that he winked at Alfred. Why did he do that? So now we're going through like a kind of a different montage that's where we basically see different news reportings of not Dick Grayson, the Riddler as Edward Enigma becoming like really famous. And like people like he's become a rival to Bruce Wayne in how just financially successful he is and how successful that his new machines are. And we can see that Jim Carrey as the Riddler, because I guess he's Edward Enigma by day, like business tycoon of margarita blenders. And by night, he wears his, like you said, he throws on the Elton John glasses and jackets and sits in his chair and absorbs everybody's knowledge. Everyone that has purchased one of these blenders. And they even say that they've sold like thousands of them. Like it's worldwide. He has them all over the world. And these blenders contain everybody's knowledge. And Edward Enigma is able to gain all this knowledge and find out everybody's secrets.
Yeah, so Edward Enigma in this movie, it's kind of like a tech bro before a tech bro with his high-tech margarita blender business. And there's a couple things that I think are weird in this. For some reason, this Enigma Tech building, it looks like in the middle of the water. Just out in the middle of the water. There's nothing else around. I guess everyone has to get a boat to get out here every day or something, it seems like. And then also, too, it's just weird that there's this green sort of Ghostbusters light that's flying from everybody's house in Gotham directly to this place. Did anybody at any point go, that's kind of weird what that green light is? What do you think that is? And why does it go exactly over to Enigma Tech? And why did it start exactly when we all started using these little brain things, right? And then was there no federal or state regulatory body that went, so what is the long-term effects of this, the health risks? Do you have any kind of studies done? They're just going to let you stick stuff in your brain, shoot it out into the sky in this green light, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. There's no problems here. And also, too, I mean, as we're going to see in this movie later on, Batman is supposed to be the world's greatest detective here, which I like Batman. Batman's awesome, but you think Batman himself would be a little suspicious of like, what is this? Maybe I should go investigate this. And then later too, we'll get there later. I'll mention something else later.
During this montage, we see that there's also on the news that it's been announced that the Two-Face has teamed up with the new villain who's named the Riddler. They announced this on the news. And people are starting to see all these clues and question marks show up that just happen to be the exact same color as this streak of static in the sky that you just talked about.
Yeah, it's so hard not to spoil it yet, but yeah, no one in this town is a little suspicious of anything. Nothing.
So whiny Robin is getting fed up with Alfred that he's not allowed like behind this locked door. And Robin, as Dick Grayson, because he's not Robin yet, he demands to know from Alfred what is behind this door. And Alfred jokingly tells him that they're Bruce Wayne's dead wives. But it's actually, the answer that he actually gives is that it's a bunch of silverware. Robin's just not satisfied with that answer. So he waits upstairs, about 3 floors up in the auditorium, in the foyer. Before Alfred goes in, he yells upstairs to see where Dick Grayson is, and Dick Grayson says, like, "Hey, I'm up here." And Alfred's like, "Okay." And he walks into this quote unquote silverware room. And before the door can close, Dick Grayson performs this acrobatic move where he kind of just leaps from curtains to curtains and swings around a pole to slide into this door before it closes, and basically falls down this flight of stone steps that leads into the Batcave. And he looks over, and he can see that he's now in the Batcave because the Bat car has just risen to the top, and Alfred is standing there with a scowl on his face. He's not happy.
Yeah, this is so weird. Chris O'Donnell pulls these parkour moves off of everything in Wayne Manor, slides down into the Batcave as the Batmobile is now rising. And it's so weird that there's just an alarm going off that says intruder alert, intruder alert.
Intruder alert.
Yeah, there's an intruder alert. So let's make sure that the Batmobile spins up to the top so we can all see it, and let's turn on all the computers and everything in this place so we can just let the guy come in and just have a good look at everything. I mean, I just thought that if you're Bruce Wayne, you would have been like, your intruder alert would have been hide everything, not, hey, show, like, let's see your hand. What do you got, you know?
Why is Dick Grayson being so snoopy anyways? Like, is it not enough that he's getting free vehicles and staying at this billionaire's home? Now he's going to swing around the complex like an acrobat and break doors and follow the butler around?
You can do anything you want. Just leave this room alone. No, you can't tell him what to do, man.
So Bruce Wayne goes to another meeting with Chase Meridian where she doesn't do anything that a psychologist would do, and they more so just subtly flirt with each other. And he gets a call from Alfred telling him that the car has been stolen. And Bruce is like, "The Jaguar?" And he is like, "No, sir, the other car." Because that's code for the Batmobile. Because Dick Grayson stole the Batmobile. How in the world does that even happen? Alfred's standing there at the Batmobile. So what? What did he do? Go and beat up Alfred and then steal the Batmobile?
He just walked out, put his hand in his face, was like, "Out of my way, old man," and just like pushed him down. He's like, "Oh, my hips!" And he's like, "I don't care. Shut up." And he took the keys. I'm like, are the keys sitting in the car too? What is this thing, right?
That was my other question. Are the keys just sitting there? It's easy for anybody to just hop in the Batmobile and go. And also, doesn't like everybody know that Dick Grayson, the person whose whole family just died at the circus last week, is staying at Bruce Wayne's house, and now suddenly he's driving around the Batmobile because he steals it, and he doesn't have a suit or a costume disguise.
No, he's just joyriding around town to Offspring.
Funny choice of song in this too. I actually like this Offspring song, "Smash It Up." So he's cruising down the street to smash it up, and the Batmobile is jumping around like a lowrider. And when he finally stops, the music completely switches. Like in 1 second, we're hearing "Smash It Up" by Offspring, and immediately we're listening to Brandy, like this soft R&B song by Brandy. It's a really weird like tone shift with the music.
Yeah, that is weird. And then it's funny too because he kind of stops in front of a few, I guess we'll call them women of the night, shall we say, in Gotham here. And they're like, "Oh, hey, Batman, how are you, baby?" And in my head, I was thinking, I was like, do they know him on a first name basis kind of thing? I know that everybody in the town knows of the car and they know who Batman is, but it just seemed that was a little more familiar. They're like, "Oh, it's Friday night. Batman's going to be around." And then he showed up, you know? He's like, "Hey, is Clarice here today? Really need a bed." You know, like where do they go? Do they go to a motel? How does that work? Batman's probably not doing it in his car. There's no room.
No, there's not. It seems that there only one person can fit in the Batmobile.
I was gonna say, do you think he's got, maybe it's a little too much, but you think he's got a condom with a bat on it?
Probably. I'm sure Alfred probably makes those. Probably keeps those in his utility belt.
Hey, Alfred gave me an extra sandwich to bring to you today too, and okay, yeah. They could have taken a couple interesting choices with this movie, shall we say?
So Dick Grayson, everybody starts laughing at Dick Grayson because they're like, "You're not Batman, you're Batboy," and it's such a lame joke. Anyways, this girl starts being attacked by these guys. When I say attacked, I mean like they're all kind of like just holding her still, and I don't know if this if this movie is offensive to indigenous people or not, but these these rapists here are dressed in like I said it earlier. It's like a fever dream rave. Like they're wearing like very what you'd expect like indigenous people to wear kind of get-ups and stuff, like face makeup and a lot of a strong tribal look to everybody, and they're all neon.
Well, one guy I think looks like Papa Shango from WWF. He's got a skeleton face going on there. One guy looks like the Ultimate Warrior. I thought it was more like wrestling. This was like, to me, this was like the one of the gangs from the Warriors. It was like it'd be if they were like called the Ravers or something. Yeah. and everyone's got weird glow in the dark paint on themselves and stuff. And yeah, there some of them are kind of punkers. Some of them have mohawks. Some of them have, I don't even know, like weird hair and like this one guy that, I mean, I guess he's supposed to be like the boss of these guys or something. He's got Ultimate Warrior kind of like tassels on. They're all the same colors and stuff on his whole body. And Chris O'Donnell just kind of decides to dispatch with these guys a little bit, kicks their ass. And as he kicks their ass and saves the girl, so to speak, the guy with the tassels gets up and gives a little whistle, and about 100 of these raver warrior guys come out of nowhere, and then they all got weapons. And Chris O'Donnell tries to scoot up a ladder, and as it looks like he's about to get the crap kicked out of him, Batman sort of flies in off the roof. And even though there's, again, probably like 100, maybe 200 of these weird raver guys, they all just see Batman and run away instantaneously. Everybody is afraid of Batman.
Everybody is terrified of him.
Yeah, because it's not like Batman beats these guys up either, right? These guys just seem like low-level muggers. But for some reason, it's so weird, though, that these guys all wear costumes together and they all paint their face up. Like how did that start? Like one day, one guy showed up and he had glow-in-the-dark paint on his face, and they're like, "Rick, what are you doing, man?" And he's just like, "I'm just trying something out." And they're like, "I don't know about that." And then the next day, some other guy came and he had a little bit of paint on his face, and they're like, "Mike, you too?" And he's like, "Well, Rick's doing it." And then they're like, the next week they're like, "Fine, all right, we all said we wouldn't do it, but all right, let's start painting ourselves up." And then they had like a meeting, like, "Well, what are our colors?"
After they all run away, Robin just has like this emotional meltdown and starts like trying to punch Batman, and Batman's just holding up his two arms in front of his face, and like for as great at karate as Robin's supposed to be, he could not hit Batman at all. And Batman wasn't even moving. Anyways, he's having this meltdown that he's blaming Batman for the death of his parents. He's blaming the person who tried to save him because he now knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman and was there. So he's blaming Batman for not saving his parents, even though Two-Face is the one who shot the gun that made all the trust frauds and stuff fall down.
Yeah, I don't know why Batman is proverbially getting blamed for everything that happens in Gotham. It's not his fault. He's actually trying to do something and save everybody. You should be mad at the person that, I don't know, maybe shot your parents out of this guy.
Or the person who threw the acid in your face.
I could see if, you're in the apartment building and all of a sudden this Batmobile drives up the side of your apartment and blows out your windows. You could be mad at him for that, right? But otherwise, I mean, he's just trying to do his best. Now Bruce Wayne is getting ready to go to a party. And not just any party. It is a party hosted by one Edward Nygma, who is a blender billionaire. And it's sort of a party to demonstrate what this machine can do, I suppose. And before Bruce shows up, there is a woman there named Gossip Gertie. And she is, I guess, some sort of really annoying investigative reporter. Maybe she's just a journalist. I don't know. she goes around and it looks like she sort of does the celeb gossip around Gotham. And this character struck us, Tim. This character struck both Tim and I as a little bit over the top and a little goofy. So we just want to play you a little bit of who this character is so you can get a feel for just how wacky and silly this lady is.
How does it feel to be the city's newest, most eligible bachelor? Gotham must know. Oh, there's Bruce Wayne. Brucey!
Brucey.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would want to be near this lady. She also seems a little unhinged.
Oh, yeah, she seems out of it. Do you remember that English comedian? I would say he was very famous in the 90s, but his whole act was in drag. And he wore glasses just like her. I remember seeing him on like the Just for Laughs comedy specials.
I know who you're talking about. Oh, Dame Edna.
That's right. That's exactly who it is. Yeah. I think that character reminded me a lot of Dame Edna. Like just her character, her glasses and stuff.
You know what? I was going to say the Riddler kind of has those glasses later on in the movie. So maybe they again share the same tailor. So there's, I guess, the whole point of this whole gala evening is it's sort of a setup in that Edward Nygma is trying to get Bruce Wayne to go into this chamber so he can see into his thoughts. I don't know why Ed is so obsessed with getting into Bruce Wayne's thoughts because it doesn't really seem like he knows who Bruce Wayne is as far as being Batman. So I don't know why he's so hard up to find his innermost secrets.
Well, he's still kind of like obsessed and bitter with Bruce Wayne. So I think in a way he unknowingly wants to destroy Bruce Wayne as well as Batman because he's so bitter that he had to set up an appointment with his assistant that he wants to just destroy Bruce Wayne now. So the sooner he can find out his secrets, the more he can destroy him.
That might make sense. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I'll buy that. Sure. Yeah. And it looks like that he kind of gives a demonstration of what goes on here in that Commissioner Gordon goes inside this place and tries one out. And they show him on the screen and he's kind of transported to this tropical setting and some girls come out and give him drinks and stuff. And there's nothing really important about that other than I just thought his hair in this gala, it was like curls, sort of like the Lollipop kids. That's kind of what it looked like. It was just...
He does look like that too. You're right.
Yeah, it was, that was like, why would you leave your house looking like that? You're like, that's perfect. You know, did he give a couple of these weird kicks on the represent, and he's like, yeah, that's perfect. That's, you know, it's like he walked into the dresser that night and they're like, what can I do for you? And he's like, give me the Lollipop kids. And they're like, say no more, fam. and then he came out with this weird haircut. Yeah. But, you know, so again, there's a bit of an interaction between Bruce and Ed, and Edward starts dancing with the hot to trot Chase Meridian. And it's at this point, Bruce sneaks off to the corner and he kind of goes up to this, I guess this is like the power unit for this weird machine. And Drew Barrymore, by the way, who plays Two-Face's angel assistant there.
That is Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
This whole time. Okay, I'm surprised I never knew that because I was watching this, even like when I was looking at reviewing this earlier, I was like, that looks like Drew Barrymore. I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah, I don't know how she just agreed to play this role because she's like pretty famous at this point. But yeah, and I mean she looks good with the curls there too, like a little cute little Betty Boop looking girl. But so she rolls up and Bruce is like, you know, he's looking at it and she's like, what are you doing? And he's just like, I just wonder how you turn it off. And she just kind of pulls the power for him on it and goes, here you go, and gives him this little green stick, you know, and he goes into the machine. And of course, this has all been a perfect setup because at this point, while he's in there, she, again, slides in a new little power pack that she had in her purse. And the machine comes on and starts to suck part of Bruce Wayne's memory now. So while this is going on, Two-Face, again, for some reason, he just loves doing this. This guy loves storming into parties and just hijacking the event. And that's exactly what happens here. Him and all his boys show up again. These guys, you know what, all his henchmen, I forgot to say too, they have all of them have like giant piercings all over their face. They kind of all look like David Draymond from Disturbed. the lead singer. They all have these piercings on their face. Like they should walk in and just be like, oh, wah, ah, ah. So they walk in now, and immediately Two-Face opens fire on this. He loves Edward Nygma. He loves this weird toxic green color, and he loves blenders because that's this machine that's in the middle of this place, which apparently again is the whole key to powering these units. And he shoots it, and it knocks out the power. So they only got a part of Bruce Wayne's memory at this point.
And what was funny about this too is that I guess like through the dialogue here, we find out that Two-Face and the Riddler didn't even like communicate that they were both going to do this. So he like Jim Carrey was upset that Two-Face didn't tell him before that he was going to come and just crash this party and take it over. I was just surprised that they're not like that much together.
Well, I guess they're not like best friends. They're not sending him texts every day like, hey, bud, what are you up to? You know, I guess, oh, I'm having a party tonight. What are you doing? You know, but yeah, you would think that he would just not show up because I don't know what the point of him showing up there was.
I don't know either. But there is an elaborate trick here to kill Batman.
I guess so, yeah. You know what's weird too is, so once this happens, Bruce Wayne kind of snaps out of it and he sneaks out the back of this place. So I don't know where this building is, but this building is styled just like Nygma Tech. Like it's got the blenders and the weird green stuff going on. And there's this big giant green thing in the middle that's powering everything. So you figure there would be a building that would be built by Nygma Tech and it's set up especially to power these units. But for some reason, when Bruce slips out the back, he slides down a fireman's pole somewhere in this building and then slips out the back to the Rolls Royce. It's just waiting there. That's got all their stuff in it. Like, how did he set up a fire pole in this place too? And he's like, yeah, by the way, like when you're over here, could you just put one in for me? You know, like, is that building code in Gotham that every building needs to have a Batman fire pole?
I think that might be a little bit of a homage to the classic Batman 60s. So he slid down the pole and got his costume.
It absolutely is. That's what it seemed like to me, 100%.
But it seems like this stuff is thrown away on stupid things like on that old classic TV show. Like, why are you referencing this TV show so much? The Batman theme song, like the wow, like a lot of those noises are in this movie. Like whenever Batman escapes, there's like this little horn sections that's like wow.
Yeah. Now that you've mentioned that, you're right. I've heard it in them before, but I didn't really put two and two together. But yeah, you're right. There is kind of even just these audio homages to this whole movie. And but it's at this time that Batman crashes through the top of this window here. And as he crashes through the window, Chris O'Donnell, this grizzled old veteran, kind of sneaks out the back. And he grabs this Robin costume, which is in the back of this place, which Bruce Wayne didn't know about either. And Batman shows up, beats up a bunch of henchmen, and then Two-Face kind of runs out the back door. And then Batman's like, forget it. I'm just going to go up the top and starts scaling the side of the building inside this place.
Just before that, while he's fighting, he bumps into Chase Meridian, who she still doesn't know that he is Bruce Wayne. And she's just like out of breath. She seems like she just had an orgasm, honestly. And she's like, 6 o'clock, my place tonight.
Well, I mean, was she having an orgasm or an asthma attack?
Yeah, when he's at the top of the building, he's looking down to where Two-Face is exiting. Two-Face is kind of going through this trap door that they have set up that I guess I'm assuming is a entrance to a construction site underground. Two-Face and his henchmen escape into that hole. And after they go in the hole, they quickly line up this garbage chute type of thing to the entrance. So when Batman jumps off of the building and kind of just free fall glides down into this hole that Two-Face and his henchmen just went into. However, when he goes in, he ends up going into this garbage chute down into this pit that's filled with gas.
It's so weird that Two-Face ran out the front door and Batman's first instinct was to run up like 15 stories, because when he jumps out this window, it's like he's free falling for a good like second or two. Like he's flying down this thing. And it wasn't, he was just like, oh, I'll just run out the front door. He's like, oh, we're going to take the elevator again. You know, like that's what it seemed like. He just really took the elevator. He's like, I'm just going to jump off this thing and it's going to be a Hail Mary. And realistically, that garbage chute was like thin paper almost. You think that he would have rocketed out the other side of it and smashed into the brick or something and died, broken his legs horribly. But no, he rockets out the bottom of this thing. And then at this point, he's kind of locked in this little alley where he can't get out of. And there's gas filling up this area towards Batman. And then Two-Face pulls out a flamethrower, lights it on fire. This flame comes. This is where I thought this was like, okay, you guys have just jumped the shark here a little bit, right? This flame comes out and it's about to engulf Batman. He ducks, and all of a sudden there's this like T-1000 sort of sheen to his coat, his armor, because Batman hits a button and his armor is now apparently fireproof.
Yeah.
And right, and then he just emerges from the fire. He emerges from the fire, and Two-Face just kind of rockets him at this point. And then there's just a giant cave in. It's like, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Yeah, well, then he gets buried in dirt. And they just leave him. Again, like you said, why did they just kill him?
Right? Yeah, and there's this weird like salt kind of stuff that's just falling on him. I don't know what this was. It was like shards of dirt or I don't know what this was, rock or something. As it looks like it's the end for Batman, here comes a hand out of nowhere, and it's young Dick Grayson in his Robin costume, and he is pulling out our hero from this pit.
Yeah, he's hanging there with the trapeze skills that he has, and he's saved Batman's life.
Yeah, and it's not like his costume's any different. It's literally the same Grayson costume with a Zorro mask. Yeah, that's enough to hide your identity, is the Zorro mask. And meanwhile, everyone's like, oh, remember the Flying Graysons? Remember that family that died and their uniform kind of looked like that? And this guy's running around with a little Zorro mask. I don't think it's him. Like, is that where we're at with this? I don't know. I mean, I know it's an homage to the original, but I just...
No, you're right, though.
It just like the Clark Kent glasses on, glasses off. It doesn't make any sense.
We get a quick scene where Robin is still whining to Bruce because he wants to be a sidekick, and Bruce is like, no way. In fact, I'm thinking about quitting being Batman. All because Chase Meridian is in love with Bruce Wayne and Batman. But Bruce Wayne doesn't know which one she wants. So Bruce Wayne, as Batman, is going to Chase Meridian's place tonight, and he's going to find out which one she wants.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing seems a little irresponsible to me. It's like, Robin, obviously he doesn't want Robin to get hurt. That's fine. That's noble. But you have to realize there are apparently still two supervillains at large, one of which is trying to detonate bombs left and right throughout this whole place. And instead of trying to stop these people, he's just going to throw in the towel and give up and not help anybody in this town anymore, all so he can get laid. Like, how selfish is this guy?
It's completely selfish.
This is not the hero we need but don't deserve. This is like, this is the hero that you're just like, we're this guy, this dick, this guy with the weird nipples.
Chase Meridian tells Batman that she wants Bruce Wayne. And Batman smiles before he walks away. Then we go to the Joker's lair, which is getting more decorated every single time, and he's finally in his onesie. He has a Riddler costume that's a full onesie, and now his hair is also gone back to fiery red. It's changed again. This is probably the fourth or sixth time that Jim Carrey's hair has changed color in this movie. By the way, it's gotten shorter. It's gone from short to long to short to long and short.
That's a great continuity they had there. But yeah, the whole point of this is just that the partial information they've extracted from Bruce Wayne has led them to believe that he is now Batman. So that's gonna set up the next little bit here. Which, I mean, again, you could just go on about how no one in this town knew Bruce Wayne's Batman, but it's... Anyways, regardless. So Chase Meridian shows up to the Wayne Manor, and she is here to sort of profess her love. Meanwhile, Bruce is going to tell her that he's Batman, and he's going to basically hang up the cowl. And apparently it's also Halloween.
Yeah, I thought that was weird that they just kind of threw that in there. It's Halloween. I feel like they had no other way to explain how Two-Face and the Riddler are going to be able to get into Bruce Wayne's house. So they were like, hey, you guys, let's just say it's Halloween and they put 2 masks on and pretend to be little kids. Like, I love it. Let's do it.
That's basically what happens now. Riddler and the Two-Face show up, and they have little cheap masks on and knock on the door. And Alfred, for some reason, decides he's going to open the door. And meanwhile, it's so weird, too, because you think he's going to give candy, but he's got like a silverware platter in his hand. It looks like he's about to serve tea, I mean, what is he going to give? Like, was he going to turn to the kids and be like, Earl Grey? And then they'd be like, yes, please. And like, 2 sugars. And they'd be like, 3, and I don't understand what his whole plan was there, what he was going to give out. I'm sure probably, too, the Waynes probably give out wicked chocolates. I would hope so.
I bet they give the best candy.
If they don't, then he's a really horrible person. Because I would be at that point, I would be the one on the block being like, I'm giving out the full size chocolate bars. We're going to Costco. I'm buying 16 crates worth of chocolates and I'm giving them out to everybody. Full size chocolates. It's at this point that the Riddler and Two-Face show up with their henchmen and they bust in. They knock Alfred out and they lock him up in a closet.
They just put Alfred in the closet.
Yeah, it was kind of like when the robbers beat up the old lady in 3 Ninjas and they just lock her in a closet.
Yeah. So right after he bops Alfred on the head with his cane, the Riddler uses his question mark cane to locate the Bat Cave. So he just flicks a switch. His question mark cane seemingly has mapping abilities and can just locate where things are and open doors because he's in the entrance. So according to this, the entrance to the Batcave is to the left of the entrance of his house when you walk in. Because he just opened that door. He's like, where could the Batcave be? And the door just magically opens. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And just goes into the Batcave. It was just that easy.
Yeah, there's no lock on the door. There's nothing, apparently. Just don't need them. Because, Dick Grayson's been in there already. So let's just take the locks off.
After all that sneaking ruse to get into Wayne Manor, when they try and go and kill Batman, they all run into the room. I would say there's probably like 12 to 15 people just start screaming like they're a riot, just barging into the room. And this room is huge. So there's enough time for them to come running and screaming into the room and Bruce and Dr. Chase Meridian to actually get up and start running away. It's just silly seeing them chase them around a room and like not trying to be quiet at all. Bruce does end up punching one of them. And then they go to the steps. We get a few cutaways of the Riddler just frolicking through the Batcave and just kind of singing songs and doing a lot of zany one-liners and stuff and just blowing up everything with little green bats that blow up. It's like he made a whole bunch of little kitty toys, but they're actually bombs and just chucking them around the Batcave. He blows up the car, all of the computers, pretty much everything that we've seen in the Batcave already.
Meanwhile, the henchmen are trying very unsuccessfully to fight Batman one at a time because it's like just more and more of these guys keep pouring in out of nowhere. It's like they're just like, all right, let's make it a fair fight. Let's just let in 10 at a time. And then we'll wait 3 minutes and then 10 more you can go in. We'll wait 3 more minutes and then 10 more you can go in. And they're all trying to fight Bruce Wayne here and they're all getting their ass kicked. And then eventually Two-Face is sitting there just flipping a coin, desperately trying to get the carved side of the coin to come up so he can just go nuts on Bruce Wayne. And eventually it does. And he just sits there lazily and just kind of shoots the gun off and it ricochets. And that's enough to graze Bruce Wayne and knock him out down the stairs.
If you're going to use the coin as your decision maker and you want to get the right side so that you can kill Batman, why don't you just kill him? If you're just going to flip it over and over and over until you get the result that you want, why don't you just kill him? Like, the coin would make more sense if you used it once in that moment and you're like, okay, well, the coin dictated, I guess I'm just going to have to wait until the next opportunity. But what's the point of the coin process if you're just going to keep flipping it until you get the result that you want?
That's a good point. I don't know. Yeah, it should be scratched on both sides then at that point because then you always win,
Yeah. Yeah, he should have a cheat coin.
You think so? That's what I would do, right? But, regardless, Bruce Wayne is now laying on the floor. And instead of blasting him in the brains and just finishing this whole thing off here and just taking over the city, the Riddler comes out at this point and stops Two-Face from shooting him in the face.
He won't kill Batman. And the reason is because the Riddler says, if you kill him now, then he won't learn nothing. What's he supposed to learn?
That's a good question, Tim. And as we're going to find out in this movie, I don't think it's anything.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, what is it that he's supposed to learn? Why are you not killing him? Because he needs to learn? What is it?
Other than they just want to play out the last 20 minutes of this movie, I don't really know. That part doesn't make any sense at all. But again, we cut back to Nigmatech, and again, the Riddler is in another costume. He's got like this Hugh Hefner light up question mark costume. And it's just like, I don't know where he's had the time to make all these suits, how does that work?
His little lair, by the way, it looks like something off of The Price is Right. Like, it just looks like one of the set pieces on The Price is Right. Just with all these like neon flashy colors. Like, I guess maybe it's because all the green I'm reminded of money flashing.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Chase Meridian, come on down. You're the next on The Price is Right. $1, Steve.
While that's going on, Chase Meridian tells the Riddler that Batman's going to come for me. And the Riddler's like, yeah, I'm counting on it. That's part of the whole plan. The Riddler has also made his own light to shine in the sky. And it's projected to be above the bat signal. And it's a question mark. So he makes the bat signal look like the dot in the question mark. So wouldn't like everybody know where his lair is now?
Yeah.
And he's on an island at that.
And it's shooting green light. And it's the same green light as Edward's little shop there.
Does the bat light only work when it's cloudy? Like how does the bat signal light up the sky when there's no clouds?
I don't know. Maybe it's like Forks, Washington, and it's always cloudy in Gotham.
Ah, yeah, maybe.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia and it's always cloudy in Gotham. I did think that's weird, just to kind of go back to your point of why didn't they just go there and see what happens, right? As far as who the Riddler is. Because Batman is always seeing the bat signal in the sky. You don't think he saw this signal again and now there's a question mark over it? I just find that very weird because now he's at Bruce Wayne and Alfred are sitting in Wayne Manor trying to figure out what this clue is and who the Riddler is. And all you have to do is look out your window and look at the green light and be like, that green light over there? Maybe we should investigate that and see what that is.
That green question mark that we've been seeing that's on all of our clues.
Instead, we're doing this like Jeff Goldblum Independence Day sort of deciphering here, where they take all of basically every clue has a number in it. So they figure out that all the numbers correspond to letters and figure out that it means Mr. E or mystery, or what's another name for mystery? Enigma. And what does that mean? Edward Nigma. That's right, folks. He is the greatest detective. And we know that this guy Enigma is using this energy stuff to suck out brains and people's minds. He loves the color green. This green stuff is always shooting over to Nigmatech. This stuff all started after Nigmatech happened. He wears a little tiny little thing on his face, and that's it, just like Robin. And it's taken this entire time for Bruce Wayne, the greatest detective, to figure out that it is the same weird guy at the beginning of the movie who was like, hey man, we should mess with people's brains. And he was like, you know what? That's a little dangerous. I think you're unhinged. We shouldn't do that. It's now come to this point with all these clues where he's been like, you know what? Maybe it was that guy, Ed. He seemed kind of weird, right, guys? What do you think?
He's the world's greatest detective.
He should be. He should be.
So once they realized who the Riddler is, they decide, Alfred and Bruce Wayne decide that Batman needs to live. Because Chase Meridian is kidnapped by the Riddler. So he decided that he's going to be Batman and go and save the day. So he's talking with Alfred, and Alfred tells him that everything in the Batcave has been destroyed, except for like the prototype gear. So we get to see a nice new bat suit, which I'm certain was only to make a different Batman toy. Like, have a different costume, different toy. For sure. And also for some bat vehicles too, because there is a bat plane, which was already in the first movie, but he has a new bat plane now. And there is a bat boat. And Bruce is like, which one should I choose? And Robin comes out of nowhere and he's like, you should choose both. And he's got a brand new costume. What do you think of this costume?
I mean, well, for one, this costume has nipples. So
does.
again, Alfred, because Alfred even says that he made the suit himself. So again, there must have been a conversation when Chris O'Donnell came up and was like, hey, Al, can you make me a suit? And he's like, yes, Master Grayson. And then he's like, but I want you to put nipples on this one for me too. He's got one, I want them. And he's like, oh, not again. I did find this funny, though, that the Riddler has all this time in the Batcave to destroy everything and somehow misses a suit under a dusty tarp and a giant plane hanging upside down like a bat and a boat. He got everything else in this place except three of the most important things you could have in this place.
Also, too, when Batman is putting on his bat suit, his new bat suit, there is a clear, obvious, intentional, just still shot of Batman's ass.
Yeah, hilarious.
Like rating, you're like taking up the entire screen. Is that a joke?
I don't know. This is a kid's movie, and we're going to just show you this rubber ass. I don't know. That was an interesting choice.
So they both got their new and improved bat nipple suits out. Robin decides that he's going to take the boat and Batman's going to take the bat plane. And while that's going on, Two-Face and the Riddler are at their headquarters, and they're going to play Battleship because they have a whole bunch of bombs out in the water that surround their headquarters. So they're playing this wacky little game of a Battleship, and they're trying to blow up these bombs around Robin while he's driving the boat. And they finally do successfully blow up the bat boat. However, Robin is able to hit the eject button beforehand. And while that's happening, the Riddler decides to hit the bonus button because he has a bonus button for all of these weapons that he has. And it sends an electric lightning strike to the bat plane, and Batman ends up going down and into the water. Now, okay, like 10 minutes ago, when Two-Face was about to kill Batman, the Riddler told him, no, we got to let him live because he won't learn nothing if he dies. So again, why are they trying to kill him so hard before he even gets to the headquarters?
I don't know. I don't know what the whole point of this was. I really, honestly, I'm confused too. I don't understand why they just didn't blow his brains out earlier. It just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I was wondering if you had any insights that I wasn't aware of.
No, I don't understand it either. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you let them live this far? Just so you could just, I mean, it honestly just seems like the whole reason he lets them live is because he's just like, I really want to tell somebody riddles. And I really hope they get them. Because this psycho Two-Face isn't going to understand what's going on here. So someone else better laugh at, someone else better try to get my riddles. So Batman and Robin are successfully able to sort of swim ashore, and they get up into this, I guess it looks like it's like a lighthouse or something that he's in.
I like it when right when they get to the shore, I don't know if I might be the only person that likes this joke, but as they're climbing up the rocks, Robin says, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." And Batman looks back at him and goes, "What?" And then Robin's like, all this metal around and stuff, it's got holes in it. It's holy, And he's like, okay. And then they just keep going. I don't know. I liked that when I was little.
It's all right. Yeah, I think they were trying to make fun of it too, because he had a look of like, what the hell are you talking about, But meanwhile, it's at this point that Two-Face shows up, and him and Robin sort of square off. And Batman's like, all right, you know what? Don't worry about it. You got this. You're on your own. You've been on the job, 4 days now? You can fight this psychopath, So I'll leave you on your own, and I'm just gonna go try to run up to the top of this tower now to fight the Riddler. And that's kind of what happens. And Robin and Two-Face start having a battle on this rocks. This looks like this is supposed to be a lighthouse or something. It doesn't really seem like it's that far down, but maybe it is, because there's all this weird wind and it's green going on. And he knocks him off the edge, and he's hanging on to the side of this rock here. And Robin, at the last second, decides he's going to save him. He's like, I want you in jail. I don't want to see you dead. So he pulls him up and he saves him. And Two-Face pulls out a gun and sort of just holds him hostage now. I just thought it was weird because it just seemed like they were just in the rocks and the water there. It just seemed like it was like 5 feet down. It wasn't this life or death kind of cliffhanger.
I liked it when they were fighting. And for one, well, a couple of reasons. One, Two-Face started off with a gun and ended up just losing it within a second because he ran and jumped at Robin instead of shooting with the gun. And then when Robin was punching him, he punched him for every family member that died. He punched him when he goes, that was for my mother. That one was for my father. And that one was for my brother. And that one's for me. And like, I don't know. I was hoping that it would come to a cooler conclusion than that. But anyways, yeah, Two-Face gets his gun back and takes him hostage. And not a very good day, not a very good first day on the job.
Yeah, no. If only Two-Face had have held up his arms though, just like Batman in the first scene there, he wouldn't have even landed a blow on him. So Batman eventually kind of scales up to the top of this tower, and Riddler has now gone full Elton. He's in a sparkly onesie. It's diamonds all over it with weird, sparkly little question marks on it. And his hair now, you're right, it's a little longer. It's kind of spiked up in, I don't even know what kind of, this is like Dragon Ball kind of hair.
I would call it, yeah, Dragon Ball, or it's in the shape of what you would imagine fire to be. If his head was on fire, it's in that shape.
I guess so, yeah.
His hair also seemingly grew quite a few inches in the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, and he's got this weird mask that's like sparkly on one side, and then the other side is a question mark. I really wonder where he got these suits from. Like, he went to a tailor, he's like, make me like 6 of these things, dude. This is going to be lit.
So now the Riddler has revealed that he has Chase Meridian and Robin both held hostage in 2 separate tubes hanging above Batman. And Batman is only going to have, say, 10 seconds to save one of them because according to the Riddler, he just only has enough time to save one of them. So he's about to push the button to do it, like to drop them. And Batman says, no, wait, I've got a riddle for you.
And the riddle is, I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I? Which is very obvious. You know, it's kind of what Batman is, you would think. And it's really obvious, obviously. He's Batman. So the answer is, it's clearly, it's a bat, right? The timing is long enough that Batman can pull out a batarang and I guess just sort of huck it at this blender thing in the sky again. And that was his whole plan. That was his whole plan. Now that this thing is shattered open, this green light thing is shooting down into Enigma's head, and it looks like it's like warping his brain and his face and stuff, and it's like it's pulling his head apart. I don't really know what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be frying his brain. I think that's what we're getting out of this. But he accidentally pushes the button on the cane, and it releases Chase out of the tube and Robin as well too. So they're both falling down now. But this is enough time for Batman to jump in after them, throw a batarang up with a grappling hook it onto Chase, and then fly down again, shoot another batarang up, and grab Robin and save the day.
Going back to the laws of physics a little bit again, you know, I'm pretty sure that 2 objects fall at the same speed.
If they're released at the same time, they're roughly the same weight. There's a good chance, yeah. You're right. Realistically, they should be smashed to the bottom of this thing. At least one of them. This seems like it's like a 30-second fall. So they're safe now, or so we think. When they get to the top of this batarang and they get to this bridge that's in the middle of this hole, I don't know why. There's a bridge in this middle of this hole. They get up there, and Two-Face is standing there with a gun pointed at them. And at this point, Batman kind of looks at him and goes, "Why don't you flip your coin?" And he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah. Let me just do that."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Instead of shooting you in the head right now and just being over with this, I'm just going to stand here and I'll flip a coin. And he flips a coin. And again, Batman's big plan is to throw a bunch of change in the air. And this change goes everywhere. And now Two-Face doesn't know which coin is his. And he starts freaking out. And he reaches out and falls off the edge into this pit. And it just seemed like a weird thing to me that I was like, does Batman have like a little fanny pack with change in it or something? And like maybe he was leaving Wayne Manor before he left, he like stopped at the piggy bank. I was like, maybe I should take some change of this. It might be helpful for me today. And he knew like this was his big idea was he was like, I'm gonna get a coin, I'm gonna throw in the air.
And he's not gonna know which coin is his.
Yeah. Which one is yours, sir? I don't know. Like this was his plan was I'm gonna foil him with pennies.
I just like to picture Batman being like really giddy, hopping up and down, rubbing his hands together, being like, oh, he's not going to know which coin is his. This is going to be so good.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It did, I guess. It's enough that Two-Face is out of the picture now. And Batman goes back up and there is the Riddler. And he's got like this weird misshapen face now. It's kind of like a pumpkin head or something, half it. It's like been pulled and his jaw's all weird and he's just all destroyed.
New haircut.
Yeah. And basically Batman is just going to do what he always does. He's just going to arrest him. But they kind of leave you with the idea that since he got shot with all this energy to the brain, Edward is now just nuts. He's crazy. He's gone. He's just lost. His brain's been scrambled. And we cut to the Arkham Asylum and there's Chase Meridian again. And she's been brought in because there's a doctor there with this weird Einstein kind of hair. And he says to her that the Riddler is saying he knows who Batman is. And so she kind of goes up to the screen and she goes up to the cell and says, hey, Edward, you know who I am? And he says, yeah. And she just says, who's Batman? And he jumps out with a little weird, and only the way Jim Carrey could, with his little straitjacket shredded up like wings, and he starts flapping around like a little bat. And that's kind of basically where we're going to end this movie, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. It's not very climactic compared to the previous two movies.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just basically all that happens is Chase Meridian comes out of the asylum and she lets Bruce Wayne know that, don't worry, this guy's brain's scrambled. He's not doing anything. And he says, thanks, I got to go to work. And then we just get a scene of Robin and Batman coming out, running out, and that's the movie.
Yeah, and then we get a nice little U2 song and credits.
Yeah. And it's I will say the big song to me in this movie seemed like it was Kiss from a Rose. And I don't know why that song wasn't played in this movie. I mean, they did a music video where they featured it and stuff, right? But like that song kicks ass. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't think that song's anywhere in this movie. I thought about that earlier too. And yeah, I totally agree with you. That Seal, Kiss from a Rose, awesome song.
Baby. I love that. It's just like, it's so powerful. It's great.
I kind of like U2. In a lot of ways, I don't like them. I won't really get into that too much. But I do like the song for this movie, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me. The music video's kind of got a cool little Batman cartoon in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So, I mean, now that we're at the end of this, Tim, what were your final thoughts on this movie? What did you think of Batman Forever?
It's not that great, but it's also not completely garbage either. Like, there's a lot of entertaining things in this movie. Jim Carrey, it's over the top. It's way too much, but it's still fun to watch because it's Jim Carrey. And Two-Face, he's pretty cool. I didn't mind Val Kilmer's performance as Batman. The only thing I guess I really don't like is Chris O'Donnell as Robin, just because, I don't know. I think for someone who just lost his entire family, he seemed like that didn't bother him at all. He was just kind of all right and whiny that he couldn't drive the Batmobile and stuff. But yeah, I think this movie's pretty good, except it's just too campy. It's not as bad as the next one to come, but it's just, you can kind of see that this is where the franchise in this era kind of started to go down.
This was starting to get wackier and wackier. I don't even remember. I remember seeing ads for it here and there, but I don't even really remember it being in theaters. I just remember my parents coming home one day and throwing a VHS at us, being like, "Oh, here's Batman. Here's a new Batman." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was out, man." It was like a franchise for a bit. There's sort of like Bond, where it was like, who's going to be the next Batman, And they would pick all these superstars, and it was like the bigger the superstar was, the goofier it just got. It seemed like.
Michael Keaton was asked to be in this movie.
Really?
He turned it down after he read the script.
I don't blame him. He's like, no, this is a hard pass.
Yeah. Or it might have been he might have turned it down because he knew that Tim Burton wasn't as on board with this one. But I remember seeing this in Ontario, actually. I was in Toronto to visit my family, yeah. And I went to see this.
There you go. I didn't, that's cool. This, yeah, I thought, I don't know. I mean, honestly, aside from the kick-ass Seal track, it's not really one of my favorite Batman movies. I think this is better than Batman and Robin, obviously, because that one is just, that's something else. But I will say, I got some gift cards for Christmas, some iTunes gift cards, and I got a little power drunk. I went out and I bought this movie because I thought it was good. And now I'm just stuck with it. So I don't really know what to do. I've watched this a couple times now with the commentary with Joel Schumacher on it too. And it was just kind of uneventful. It was wacky, goofy, very comic booky. Not the worst entrance out of these first 4 kicks at the can, but it didn't really, the last couple didn't really leave a good taste in our mouth,
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this movie to a lot of people. Prior to the Christopher Nolan movies, this movie seemed a lot better to me. But now that I've seen Christian Bale as Batman, those movies, it's hard for me to praise this one.
Oh, that's fair. The Dark Knight Rises was there was some goofy moments in that, but this is just another level of goofy. Is really what this was. And it's like I said before, when you have Tommy Lee Jones chewing up the scenery, and then you got Jim Carrey chewing up the scenery, it's a little too much. I think you want some balance between your characters. You want one guy maybe playing the straight man, one guy being the laughing, sinister, maniacal villain. You just can't have them both doing that. To me, this is it's too much over the top stuff. And you got this over the top scenery, and you got nipples on Batman, you got nipples on Robin, you got this really, really kind of hot girl who's just insatiable for Batman. The whole thing is just,
it's a hot mess.
Yeah, they didn't set them up for success in this one, I think, But I think that's it for me on this one. I don't know, what about you, Tim?
No, I got nothing left to say about this movie.
I had absolutely no idea that putting nipples on the Batsuit would become international headlines. I think people have to get out more often.